Out of all the 44 trails, 8 Mile is definitely one of them. This one starts at the parking area that should sort of be considered the main parking area for the 44 trails, as you can access a lot of them from here. From Highway 35, drive up Highway 44 for 5 miles until you get to this intersection. Then you turn right. From there, drive another 2.5 miles or so until you see this little road to a parking area where you can turn left. I wish you the best of luck finding parking in here because this area is very popular on summer weekends. From the parking area, head over to the signboard and continue down the trail past the signboard. This area is pretty well signed, but when you get to an intersection that looks like this, you're going to want to proceed to the right, up the hill. Now, before you go ahead and commit to 8 Mile, which is actually 6.3 miles long, by the way, let's take a look at the elevation profile. Yeah, it's the dreaded inverted V. You're going to have all your descending fun in the middle and pay for it at the end. Just thought you should know that before proceeding. The top of this trail peaks out at a viewpoint called Perry Point, which is like a mile in maybe, and it's the stupidest viewpoint ever because it's all grown in anyway, so don't bother. Before getting to stupid Perry Point, you'll get to this intersection where you'll want to turn right. So turn right and keep climbing. Just climb past stupid Perry Point, which shows up too early in the ride to even be worth a lunch stop, and soon you'll hit the first downhill section of the trail, which loses about 350 feet over about a mile with flattish, climby sections in the middle. Then you'll start climbing again, and you get to this fantastic bench with exposure to Central Oregon that is probably an absolutely jaw-dropping view when it's not obscured by smoke from wildfires, which it was the day we rode it. The views here are much better than the views from Perry Point, by the way. There's also an old fire lookout up here if you want to look around hard enough. It's not that hard to find. People actually rent it out from the Forest Service. The forest here is typical 44 road Ponderosa Butterscotch goodness with the same surface you should by now have come to expect from all the 44 trails. It's ashy sand or sandy ash. It depends on how you want to put it. It doesn't really hold features all that well. It's just sort of flat and buff. A fully rigid paradise, really. Once you summit the shoulder of 5 Mile Butte, you'll start the fun section of this trail, descending a series of ripping fast switchbacks over 1.7 miles while you lose around 800 feet of elevation or so. This section is a lot of fun, and I hope you really enjoy it if you do this ride, because it's another 800-foot climb along 8 Mile Creek to get back out of here. The climb is pretty gradual, gaining about 800 feet over the course of 2.5 miles, so it's not a total buzzkill. The forest in here is really quite lovely. Eventually, it spits you back out at the parking lot and you're done. It's not the most remarkable of trails, but then none of the 44 trails are really remarkable by themselves, except maybe Dog River. They're just sort of this need to ride thing, especially if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner to intermediate rider, this trail's another fantastic one. Bring your hardtail. These are hardtail trails. Now, get out there and go ride your bike.
Go climbing. And we're climbing.